Hello everyone, I'm Joel, your host for Talking Trends, where we explore what's hot in the market and what's not. So today, we're gonna explore the concept of how we prepare a home to go on the market. And it's one of the biggest questions we get from sellers, like what do we need to do to prepare the home for the market? And I'm excited to have Kristina Debbs here with me. Kristina is a director of client communications for the Schemmel Soda Group, which she's amazing at that, but her background is also professional staging. So really what we want to talk about today is just kind of that process conceptually and in reality at the same time. So Kristina, welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today. I think about what we do as a team when we go into our clients' homes, and I use the word staging a lot, but there are different words that we can use. We could talk about enhancing, we could talk about editing. Ultimately, what we do, I feel like, is a home marketing strategist. We're coming in and saying, this is what we need to do before we get your house live on the market. So we do everything top to bottom, for sure.
And I love that too. And I think, sometimes there's a misperception, right? You say staging, or it's a broad word, right? But we're not generally talking about massive renovations and sometimes that isn't even the right thing to do, right? It's about layers of different elements of staging.
Absolutely. A lot of times, sellers will think, what do I need to renovate prior to putting my house on the market? But really, it's so much simpler than that in most cases. We can walk through and making simple, strategic, intentional adjustments, and that in itself can do a world of good for their real estate photos. And we all know that that is so very important in order to get people into that home. And then that's where you come in and sell it.
I love that. And again, that's why, we talk about staging as really a basic part of our marketing program and how we approach our listings, because literally you are involved in every one of our listings way before we take it to market, but really before we even do any photography.
Absolutely, and that ties hand in hand with me also being client communication director. I get to communicate with them from the beginning, get to know a little bit about them, because we also like to personalize that experience from start to finish. But also what's great about that is we're going in and we're making these homes market ready so that every piece of marketing collateral gets the benefit of those photos. So whether it be social media, whether it be print collateral, whether it be their photos, their video, whatever it may be, we are preparing the home so that every piece of their marketing looks perfect from day one. Yeah. A lot of times, unfortunately, not everyone chooses to take that route. Yeah. And they'll try, well, let's put it on the market and see what happens. Right. That's not the best strategy. Yeah. We like to go in confident that we're ready.
Yep. And first impressions are really everything, right? Especially online.
You only get one shot at a first impression. Isn't that what they say?
and that's the reality, especially in today's world, right? We are so digital. We are so, we get couple people's attention for a couple seconds only. So we have to be spot on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is that social media has really changed staging and has changed listing homes, because before, where you might have pictures that didn't showcase the home in its best light, people might still give it a chance. Well, let's go see it, right? But just as you said, their attention span is so small these days. It's a few seconds. We have one shot for them to look at these photos, and they're used to seeing picture perfect model homes on social media, on Instagram. It's no longer a luxury to stage a home, it's the expectation. So in order for us to get them in the door, that's the first spot, is making sure that our photos look amazing, and staging prior to photo day is a huge part of that.
Yeah, and I love that, and we'll drill into some details, but you taught me, or you taught the whole team, a new word, right? And it's not staging necessarily, but actually the easy side of that is editing, right? Taking what's there, and really maximizing it.
Absolutely. So many times people, I think, have a misconception that staging is so expensive, and it can be, right? Because furniture is not cheap. However, what I like to do is go into a home, and most of the time what they have to work with is phenomenal,
Right.
but maybe it needs a fresh look. Maybe it needs a new layout.
Right.
Maybe we need to do a little less because as we know in photos, less is more.
Right.
Luxury is space.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we don't want to fill a space with too much stuff,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
sometimes even though we love that barrel chair or we love that chaise lounge, it doesn't need to be in the room for our photos, right?
Exactly.
And even for showings.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes the best practices for photos also hold true for showings.
Right.
As people are walking through your home, we want it to feel spacious and luxurious and open. They're not running into things. So
Right.
sometimes we just simply have to remove.
Right.
A lot of times people have spent their life collecting beautiful things from all over the world. And while they're gorgeous and personal to them,
Right.
a lot of times it can pull focus in a photo. So even though they're attached to their things, it's our job to come in and make them understand gently the value in actually less is more.
Right.
And sometimes we just start pre-packing those things for where they're going next.
Yeah, and I think you approach it the right way, and that, you know, ultimately this process happens anyway. You might as well get a jump start on
Exactly.
it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here. So we're at 3210 Casey Key Road, listing we have for over $10 million, amazing Gulf to Bay property. And we talked to the sellers recently about doing some additional editing, right? And trying to showcase this space in a different way. So here's the room.
Okay. So I love this homeowner. Oh my gosh, her design style, her everything. I just loved her, and I still do. But she has, just like many of our sellers, collected many things over the course of her life. And so we actually have already decluttered quite a bit in this home. However, there's still things that we can continue to refine and adjust. So for example, in this space, what you'll notice about this room, besides the gorgeous fireplace, is the amazing view. And that is what we want people to see the moment they walk into this room. So in order to do that, again, back to what we were stating earlier, less is more. So for example, this room, while this might be cozy to live in, staging to sell is different than designing to live. So we may consider removing these chairs. We may consider removing that accent chair and side table and just minimizing down to the actual sofa and coffee table. And then also, little things don't always photograph well. So if we were to end up keeping the side table and chair, which we mentioned removing, but if we were to keep it, we might want to do away with the smaller clock, the smaller plant, things like remotes, coasters, those functional everyday things, those can be put away for your photos to give you just clean tabletops. And I would even say that we could have a clear mantle as well. And if we turn our attention this way, I remember when we first came in and saw this home, this cart was just full of all the things, which was lovely if you're entertaining because you have everything that you need. However, once we simplified what she had, it was totally usable for photos. And now we're talking lifestyle. Someone can come in and imagine, oh, having a drink, watching this view. It was no longer more of a cluttered surface. It became more lifestyle friendly. So let's take a look at this kitchen, for example. We have some beautiful glass uppers, which we like to highlight. That's a nice feature, but sometimes by putting bold colored things, it can pull focus, and we don't want to detract from what this kitchen has to offer, because ultimately the buyer is purchasing the kitchen, not the objects. So what we always like to recommend is putting white or clear items so that it can draw attention without pulling the focus. Another thing that I love is that they have some greenery on the counter. That's always a nice kind of pop of color. It adds an organic element as well. One thing I would avoid, and it's functional for living, however, for photos, I always recommend removing any sort of runners or floor mats, because again, back to the point, the buyers want to see the floors, which in this case are beautiful, that they are purchasing. Now, if we head over this way, currently this area, which is a dining nook, is vacant because the homeowner has taken the table and chairs to their next residence. However, sometimes in staging, we have enough to play with that we can get a little creative. And instead of this appearing empty, we might decide those 2 chairs that we decided were a little too much for the space over there could work as a different purpose in this room over here as a little sitting area. So that's what I think about the kitchen. Joel, what do you think?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, like I said, I think it gives everything purpose and proportion too. So great, we kind of gave a tutorial on light staging, right? So now let's go to the library. We'll relax and actually talk some more about the fundamentals of staging. So great, we've reclined to the library. I think in the staging concept, just to talk about the different concepts too, because we talked a little bit about editing, so kind of working with what's there and maximizing it, right? But there's other forms of staging too, physical staging, virtual staging, et cetera. Can you elaborate?
Sure. So every person's budget and needs are different. So for example, we could do something that I like to call an enhance, which is where we can bring in accessories, some greenery. Maybe they're just lacking a little bit of those extra things that give their photos a little bit of pop. Or we can do a full physical stage where we're bringing in furniture, whether the home is completely vacant or whether it is occupied and maybe we're adding to what they already have.
Right.
Filling in those missing pieces. So there's different options at all different price points.
Right.
And then of course there's also virtual staging. And a lot of times people will ask, well, what's better, right?
Yeah.
And so the answer is truly always physical staging, in my opinion, is going to be the best option, because when the showing happens and the potential buyers arrive and it falls flat because there's nothing in the home compared to the actual photos they saw online that were virtually staged, sometimes it can be a bit of a disappointment.
Right. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
But there are instances where it makes sense.
Right.
So let's say there's a home that could be in need of a renovation, and the bones are amazing, the location is fantastic.
Right.
But people sometimes can't always visualize what could be. So in that situation, our group likes to offer the potential of what could be. And so we can totally re-envision a space, whether it be virtually staging, whether it be updating with renovation, so that a potential buyer can walk in and see the possibility, right? And other times, let's say that the budget isn't there to do a full stage, then maybe virtual is the best way to go. It's just another option.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you have to think about it all as a concept of the tools we have and how to make everything better, right? How to make it look better, how to make it feel better. And you hit on it a little bit about the different flavors of staging, et cetera. I mean, you know, especially a couple of the ones you've helped obviously with, where they do, maybe most people would consider them to be significant renovations. People are not very visual, right? So if they can see a heavy room transformed into this clean white, you know, concept that is today's world, right? It really helps their mental process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, you love a good modern,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe someone will come in and they're totally modern, but the home is more traditional.
Right.
So it also can help them to see it through a different lens as well.
I mean, a great example, right? We can use our examples. So we have this beautiful modern listed, so we have somebody interested in it and they're like, it doesn't feel warm enough, right? You know, for what I want. So Kristina literally took the house, even saw the house they live at. I think they live in California.
Correct, yes.
Even transposed some of the artwork, et cetera, that's in that home into the modern home and completely warmed it up so they have a totally different flavor. So of course I'm a modern lover, so for me it was hard, but again, we're tailoring to a buyer. It's
all about what the buyer wants, exactly. If it gets the house sold, Joel will do it.
Exactly, for sure. So again, those are just, so it's way beyond staging. It's actually helping people create a visual concept that they love. And that's the beauty too. I mean, some of it's AI, some of it not, but we can take a room and adjust it to what somebody might want so that they can see how they would live there.
Absolutely.
So we've talked a lot about staging, but there is kind of that key list, right? The best bang for your buck list of what you tell almost every homeowner. give us some examples of what would be on that list.
Sure. So these are easy things that are relatively affordable that you can do to always put yourself in a good position prior to your real estate photos. So let's say that your landscaping needs a little refresh. Mulch is easy to do.
Yeah.
It does make a big difference. Honestly, paint color inside of a home is huge. If you were only going to spend a little bit of money on something, paint is worth its weight in gold.
Sure. Yeah.
A Sherwin-Williams shoji white or pure white or basically any shade of white is going to be okay as long as it doesn't pull yellow. That is going to brighten your photos. So that's going to be huge.
Right.
Honestly, if you have valances, they may be custom, they may be super expensive. However, they also may be very stylized to your taste. So you're limiting your buyer pool. So in that case, you're going to want to consider removing them and letting the focus be maybe the beautiful view through the window versus the pattern on the valance, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Other things you can do, make sure that your light bulbs are all the same shade. It does make a difference. That sounds funny, but let's say that you have a light fixture in the bathroom and you have 3 soft white bulbs and then you have one that looks, you know, fluorescent. It does make a difference. And I always recommend for lamps themselves, a white shade is better because the light will be brighter for your photos versus a darker, duller color. A lot of times people have beautiful bedding, but the bedding could have tons of colors and tons of patterns and all of that. And while that's gorgeous to live, we are thinking what's going to help your property shine the best for the photos and for all of the marketing materials. So in that case, solid colors, light and bright, stay away from those things that again will pull focus and maybe someone is looking at the bedspread and completely missed the huge walk-in closet or something of that nature, right? So those are some things that you can do easily and affordably to help get your market or your home prepared for market.
And again, I think it's all part of the same process, right? Even in this home that we're at today, I mean, she's downsizing. A lot of these things she'll have to move anyway, so we call it a head start on everything. And I'm the first to admit it. So I'm lucky now. I get Kristina to talk to the sellers. I don't have to, but the reality is, I always say it's going to feel very vanilla for you, but that's what we want. We want vanilla. It's going to appeal to the most people, right?
And the biggest buyer pool,
We want the bigger buyer pool, whatever that translates and however we can get that. So I think, that is always how we think about it. So what else is there? So reactions from sellers, I mean, just kind of curious. I mean, sometimes it's really easy, right? Sometimes it's not.
Yes. So I'm a people person. So I love working with the people, and I feel like I can gauge early on if it's going to be an easy process or if they need a little bit more hand-holding through the process. And that's okay. Everyone is different. And I know that everyone's things are important to them. They have a meaning, they have a memory, they have a purpose. And so, sometimes I think people have the misconception that a stager is going to come in and be like, that needs to go. Well, that's not the process with us at all. And so we do whatever we can to help them to make it easy to facilitate the process. I think that what they're most surprised about is as we go room by room and I give my suggestions, sometimes some of the things they're like, wow, really? That makes a difference? But all the little details is what adds up to the big picture, right? And we don't want any detail to go unnoticed.
And that's why I say it's about those details. It's about bringing a cohesive concept to the space, right? And really highlighting the best parts of the home, right?
Absolutely.
Views, rooms, spaces, right? That's what we're just trying to accentuate.
Absolutely. And a lot of that can be done through the strategic placing of the items. Sometimes they have all the right ingredients. They just need to be shifted around and have a new perspective.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a great discussion about staging, but before we wrap up the show, what is the secret to staging?
Well, I'm not going to give it away, Joel. I guess you have to hire him and find out.
I love that. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Talking Trends. Till next time.